Well, hey there. Welcome to Movie Review Mom. I really appreciate your support. So if you are a returning subscriber, yay, that's a heart. Can you tell? Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you are brand new to my channel, yay, I'm so glad you're finally here. My goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a specific film. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called Ambush. This very gritty Vietnam movie is in select theaters, but it's also on digital platforms. And you're probably going to find it there much easier than in movies because it actually came out a little while ago. I am trying to catch up on movies that I watched and wrote up my review and put it on my website, moviereviewmom.com, but just didn't have the time or the strength. I was really sick in March and April to do the film of the YouTube video. So anyway, this is a movie that I think a lot of you will be interested in because I know I've got a lot of gritty guys out there who love World War II movies, Vietnam movies, Revolutionary War movies, just war movies in general, like I do. And so if you haven't seen this is your heads up on this film. So it's rated R. It is an hour and 44 minutes. My movie review mom grade, however, is a C or C plus. So let me explain. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, funny lines, if there are any, and then recommendations for other films that are sort of similar or maybe better that I think you'll also like. All right, let's dive in. In a nutshell, the thrilling true story of a U.S. military suicide mission through miles of enemy Viet Cong infested tunnels is what this movie is all about. American forces are trapped on the edge of no man's land, facing danger amid a maze of tunnels as they pursue the Viet Cong far below ground before a deadly secret can be exposed. So the film was written and directed by Mark Berman with additional writing help by Johnny Lozano and Michael McClung. It's a perfect example of how critics hate a movie, yet audiences love it. So here's a list of things that I really liked about the movie. First of all, I've always been a fan of Aaron Eckhart. He has the eyes of one of my sons. Every time I see him, I'm like, Calvin. Unfortunately, he's not in the movie very much. So that was an easy paycheck for Eckhart. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers can always be counted on to kick butt and give it 100%. And he has been cranking out a ton of movies lately. I really like him. He always gives it his best effort. Unfortunately, he is just not hitting it big in Hollywood. And he's certainly capable. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, Jonathan, if you're watching, I'm a fan. So Connor Paolo did a great job in his role in the movie as well. His frightened character was believable and instantly made you root for him. I love war movies, especially ones based on a true story, because there's so much heroism involved and stories that need to be told. There's lots of action, lots of shooting, and lots of tense moments. Great sound effects. The timing of this film should remind the USA that we should think very carefully before jumping into another country's war. Now, not to get all political, but it does seem a little timely. So here's a list of some of the things that I didn't like or just thought could have been done better. For example, a problem with war movies is all of the military acronyms. I often have no idea what the characters are saying. Now, I know a lot of my subscribers are guys who've served in the military and they know all of those acronyms. But for a regular person like me, I'm like, I don't know what you just said, but I know it must be bad, that kind of a thing. So some of the special effects, like explosions, don't look that real. In that regard, the movie looks like the low budget movie that it is, unfortunately. But hey, they gave it a good try. And there's still a lot of good to be found in the film. Here's another point that I thought was a little goofy. So after losing several of their special forces team members who swore to protect a top secret binder, It's hard to believe that the two remaining men let it easily slip out of their hands during an ambush, right? I mean, I know they were scared, but you'd think everybody would have known this binder cannot get out. Anyway, that would have made it a very short movie, though. If our American soldiers freak out over bugs like one of the characters in this movie, our country is toast. Unfortunately, a lot of the dialogue just really wasn't that good. There's so much yelling, so much testosterone. I mean, thank goodness for strong, brave men with testosterone who are willing to fight wars. But sometimes it was just a little bit over the top and a little bit much. The pacing races and then it stalls and then it races again. Let me give you some tips for parents. This movie is not appropriate for children. There is profanity, including many F-bombs. We see a lot of soldiers get shot and killed. The camera zooms in way too long on a few kills to show us the blood and the gore. Not necessary. We also see men catch on fire, so that's scary and not something you want your young kids to see. Just basically tons of violence with a variety of weapons, as well as hand-to-hand combat. I mean, it's war. So some of the themes that are illustrated really well are war, of course, heroism and courage, brotherhood, military hierarchy, choices, and sacrifice. So while I watch movies, I always write down the funny lines and the interesting lines, and I have them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I realized I didn't write down any funny lines. It's definitely not a comedy, but I did write down some interesting lines that were insightful, and so I'll share a few of them with you right now, and then you can also go on my website and see any of the other ones that you want. So here's a line spoken by Eckhart, who plays a general. He says, "Victory is measured in body count." And I was like, oh, I don't know. Do I agree with that or not? I mean, to some extent, yes. But in some situations too, I would say absolutely not. Anyway, what do you think about that? Kind of a controversial, interesting line. Comment down below. Another interesting line by Aaron Eckhart is, "A warrior's record is not written in books or decorated in medals. You and your men, you're part of something deeper now. Their blood is in the earth. They live forever." And I thought, well, that's actually true. And patriotic, you know, if you are a soldier, a military man at heart. And one of my sons is actually in the military. And I watched military movies long before he got into the military. But before he did, I made him watch Saving Private Ryan. It's rated R and bloody and gory and seems pretty realistic to me, someone who's never been in war. And I said, you need to watch this movie first to see if you can handle the reality of war. Because I think a lot of young boys romanticize it. Anyway, he was like, but Mom, you told me to never watch rated R movies. You know, he was a teenager. And I'm like, I know, but this is an exception. And now he's in the Army. He loves it. And then I'll just leave you one last line that Captain Mora says. He says, the Army needs combat vets calling the shots, not bureaucrats. And I agree with that. I know that you don't have to be in the military or have any military service to be president of the United States, but I would think that it absolutely helps. It's easy to sit in an office and call the shots and have other people's sons and daughters go to war, right? But if you've been to war, you know the price that needs to be paid. And I would think that would make you more hesitant or at least more strategic. Just saying. All right, so I did write down some dumb lines. For example, so the dialogue is not great. Some of the dumb lines are when Captain Mora yells, "Kill them all." And then another time, Captain Mora says, "Time is of the essence." I mean, these things seem like they should be obvious, right? And then another line spoken by a scared soldier is, "We're all gonna effing die," you know, lines like that. So I like war movies where there's some meat to the dialogue and reveals what's going on internally other than kind of a surface level. And so in that regard, let me share a few recommendations for movies that are war-related movies that I think are really good. The first one is called The Last Full Measure, and I think that one flew under the radar for a lot of people as well. Also about Vietnam and based on a true story, and I thought it was very well done, tastefully done, and paid tribute, honor, and respect to those who fought in that war, but those who fight in all wars. Another Vietnam War is just Rambo. I mean, a lot of Rambo movies have come out over the years, including one recently, which was a bloodbath. But the very first one was clever, and it also revealed how these soldiers who just simply did what the American government told them to do and returned found that they were shunned by the American population in general. And I just felt that was so unfair. Since then, I think our country has done a much better job supporting our soldiers who return and recognizing that they definitely have special needs and they deserve all of the help that they can get, financial, emotional, social, spiritual, all of that kind of stuff. And then the last movie I thought of is also another classic Vietnam movie called Platoon. And that one, if I remember correctly, I was pretty young when that one came out, but I remember it got a lot of Oscar buzz. Anyway, comment down below if you've seen any of those or if you have a favorite war movie, especially from the Vietnam era. I tend to really gravitate towards World War II movies, but Vietnam has some really good movies as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope if you watch this movie that you enjoy it. I'm sure if you've seen it, you're going to comment on all of the inaccuracies because I don't know anything about the tanks and the weapons and all that kind of stuff. And I always find that interesting. So comment away. Have a fantastic day and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.